Hey YouTube, Sandy Frank here. This week's episode of Hobby Talk, it's going to be another one of those special hobby talks that I want to do more of this year, where it can benefit my viewers a little bit more. So this is a strategy that I'm going to use, that I've been using, and I wanted to share it with you. And this takes into the thought, that we've been talking about, and that is using market overreaction to your advantage. And the market overreaction I'm talking about now is more of a market over evaluation and a market under evaluation. The over valuation is a PSA 10. PSA 10s, what they sell for over a PSA 9 is staggering. It's a huge jump up from a PSA 9. If you look at average sales, this is not something that's an opinion. Look at previous sales of the same cards. PSA 9s versus PSA 10s. 1 grade difference. The market overvalues PSA 10s. There's just no doubt about it. And in turn, the market drastically undervalues PSA 9s. And what's another thing, if you watch this channel, you realize PSA 9 and PSA 10 are basically the same in many cases. Now, some cases, a card will get a PSA 9 for a good reason. Sometimes, no good reason. And this has been proven. I've proved this on the channel. I've watched other people prove it. They crack it out of the slab, resubmit, and poof, it's a PSA 10. So the difference between a strong PSA 9, and I'll explain what I mean by strong PSA 9, and a PSA 10 is basically nothing. It's just the label that this particular grader gives it. Now, this is another way you can take advantage of the fact that PSA uses different graders. One grader will see something, maybe he's more picky. The next grader, maybe they are, he or she, I don't know who they are, may be more lenient. And you could send in an order, the exact same cards to 4 different times, and you will get completely different grades every time. I guarantee you. It is not a science. And that's why I always think you shouldn't send a bunch of the same cards in the same order. Excuse me. Because I think as a grader, I think they miss things and maybe don't want to give you all PSA 10s, even though maybe the cards are all PSA 10s. It's just, you got to think about the human psychology of the grader. Are they getting irritated because they're having to look at the same card over and over and over and over again? And if someone becomes irritated, they're going to be a little more strict, more picky. Maybe you have a really, really clean PSA 10 card, and then they'll see the other ones, and well, none of these are quite as nice as this one, so this is the 10, the rest will get 9s. You never know. Psychology, it's human psychology of graders. And when they grade cards, if it's a strong PSA 9, there is no 9.5. So you could have cards that are a strong 9, crack them out, resubmit, and you got a good chance of getting a 10. I'm not saying you're going to. Now, this strategy is not good for using on serialized cards, especially serialized cards with newer cert numbers, because they now scan the cards and they will research and find out, oh, we've already graded this card, serial number 12 of 50. And guess what? I'm not going to change the grade that we already gave it before. So this is mainly, I'm talking about cards that are non-serialized. So what I've been doing, and I'm using Shohei Ohtani as an example, but I think you can do this same strategy fairly safely with players that have a really good chance of making the Hall of Fame. Shohei, I mean, what he's done so far in his career, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes. He's won 3 Super Bowls. You can use the same strategy with Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady. Use it with guys that you know are not going to. Well, the human factor is always dangerous because you never know. Ohtani, I'm sure he's a good dude. What if one day we find out he has a teenage girlfriend? It's possible, you know. However unlikely, but it is possible. So you always have that human factor that could just devastate a card market of someone. Or, look at Pete Rose. He was gambling on his own team. His cards, I've never recovered from that. I mean, this is going back to the 80s. You don't have to look at Wander Franco. #1 prospect. Phenomenal player. But we know what happened with Wander Franco, and his cards are worth nothing, basically. So, I'm trying to pick, in sports, GOATs, is basically what I would call them. Mahomes is a GOAT. Ohtani is a GOAT. Mike Trout is a GOAT. Even though he's injury-plagued and on the downside of his career, what he's done so far in his career, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So you can use this strategy with those types of players. And I'm going for rookie cards. I'm looking at cards on eBay, mostly, and also different places where you can buy cards. PSA 9s. PSA 9, like we were talking about, if you have a strong PSA 9, you basically have a PSA 10, potentially. And what I mean by strong PSA 9 is look at the card. One thing that's very nice is, especially on newer cards, scan their QR code. Most sellers will show the back of the card. Scan that, and you can actually see the PSA scan of the cards. You can see all of the little defects on the card, if there are any. Maybe sometimes eBay sellers don't show good pictures, you know. And I did that with basically all these cards that I bought. I like this one. I did not have this in my collection. PSA 10s were super high priced, so I went with the PSA 9. I looked it over with the scans. Looked clean. Things you look for are centering. Centering is a big thing. Also look for white in any of the corners, especially these dark corners. If you see a notable white spot on a corner, that card will probably never get a 10. If you see a card that's way off-centered, it's probably never going to get a 10. So that's probably why it got a 9. But some cards, who for whatever reason somehow just didn't get a 10. And we are not PSA graders. We can only look at a card at certain things. We can't look at the edges, not that sort of thing. And also another reason PSA 9 is good is because you probably don't have any surface scratches, because surface scratches will drop you down to like a PSA 8 or PSA 7 or even worse. So a PSA 9 means you're going to get a clean card with good surface. You're also probably going to get very nice corners, and you can pretty much look at the centering with your own eye. But that's what I've been doing. So at a huge discount, you can get a PSA 9 Ohtani rookies, which are basically as nice of a card as a PSA 10, which you can prove this yourself. Crack them out, send them in if you want, and see. I guarantee you, if you had a pile of these cards. Okay, let's just look at them. Okay, we have this Topps Fire. We have the Ohtani update. Maybe very slightly off center. It's really tough to tell. Actually, I think it is dead on center. Beautiful card. I didn't have this in my collection yet. I think some graders get thrown off by this upper. It's always a little bit thicker on the top because of this top symbol. Look at the bottom borders for centering. See how those are very even? That's a well-centered card. Maybe they had an inexperienced grader. I don't know. But I looked at the back. The back's perfect. This, to me, is every bit as good as a PSA 10 for a fraction of the price. I got this one. You can get yourself into some nice numbered Otanis at a really good deal as PSA 9s. This card would be very expensive as a PSA 10. I looked it over. I didn't see really any issues. I looked at all the corners. They all look good. This corner down here, I think, always throws off inexperienced graders because it looks like the corner is white. Woo. But that is actually part of the graphics of the this design here. There's just a lighter part of this swirl down there. And you'll notice that on some other cards. So this grader might have seen that and like, oh, there's a white corner. I can't give this a 10. It's not really a white corner. This is the blue out of 150. And I was able to get this for a good deal. You can really take advantage of like the Panini brand stuff. They are rookie cards, but they're just not licensed, MLB licensed. So you'll notice Ohtani doesn't have any logos. But this is a card I had never gotten. PSA 9, a bargain. I looked it over. There is nothing wrong with this card. I have no idea how this got a 9. So, a definite candidate that if I wanted to crack it out and try for a 10. Maybe it got a strict grader. Another Ohtani. Again, as you can see, it seems like if you're looking at this part of the border, it looks like it's a little bit thick on top, but it's really, that's just the design of the card. You look at the bottom borders, they match up very nice. So, I mean, you could take your little card grading tool or centering tool and check this also. But this card looks very nicely centered. Another card that I didn't have, PSA 9. Look at the back, it's perfect. It just got over, maybe an inexperienced grader thought that it's thick on top, when it's really not. Now, this is a Topps Update insert rookie Ohtani. It's licensed, rookie card symbol, everything. It's just not a lot of people collect this card, so you can get PSA 10s at a good deal, but PSA 9s are a really good deal. And you look it over, and yeah, it's clean, no issues. Another great PSA 9 pickup for a fraction of the cost of a PSA 10. This is even a PSA 8. I usually avoid the PSA 8s because that might mean it has a little tiny little divot or some type of surface problem. But this card was so cheap, I was like, I mean, basically for the grading price, I was able to get it, and it's an Ohtani rookie. So I got it here at home. I see nothing wrong with this card. So I think that was a great pickup. So sometimes even PSA 8s are overgraded by the grader. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they see something that other graders might have missed. Who knows? This card, this is actually a really good card to do this with because this is his flagship rookie card. I mean, this is the rookie card, right? It's his flagship. It's just the base, but it's also very easy to look at on eBay, look at pictures of this card and be able to tell if there's problems. I mean, the centering on 2018 is really not an issue. There's no borders unless it's way off. You can easily see every corner because of the darker borders. So if you see any whites on any of these corners, avoid. Also on the back, you have red on these two corners. You can easily tell if there's a white corner. So I saw this one look perfectly clean to me. It's a PSA 9, so I know there's not any indents or scratches on the surface. This is a prime candidate to test my theory. Here's one, actually, I didn't buy this as a 9, I actually graded it as a 9, but I am going to retry it simply because of what we talked about earlier, the swirl. The back is very clean, centering is good, it just has that stupid little design flaw. It's not a design flaw, it's just part of the design, where if an inexperienced grader is looking at that, they say, oh, it has a white corner. It's not a white corner, it's part of the design there. And you could get this for a fraction of the price of a PSA 10. This one I'm really excited about. This is a Panini Chronicles. Yes, non-licensed Panini stuff. But this is the black optic refractor from Chronicles. Only 25 of these in the world. There's no chance I could have afforded this as a PSA 10. Just no chance. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars. So I looked at the scans. It looked perfect. The only thing I can see is maybe it's a little bit thicker on this side on the back, which you're allowed more centering on the back tolerance. Serial number 11 out of 25. Low number. Yes, it's Panini, but a beautiful card. I just love this card, and if I ever wanted to, I probably would not. These two, it'd probably be very foolish of me to crack out of the slab to retry because they're serialized, and PSA will be able to tell, oh, you just cracked this out of the slab that we already graded. So these serialized are not good candidates to crack out and retry. They're just really strong nines that if you buy the card, not the grade, you'll be just fine and enjoy beautiful cards that are right up there as nice as a PSA 10. So I guess the point of this video is getting long is utilize the market overvaluing PSA 10s and undervaluing PSA 9s. Do some homework. Use these little QR codes. Scan the cards. Get a good look at the cards. Buy the strong PSA 9s and enjoy. And do whatever you want with them. Keep them, crack them, retry them. Like, not counting these two. If you took all these PSA 9s and cracked them out and resent them in a submission, there's 8 cards. I feel strong enough about this that you would get at least 3 PSA 10s out of this. I'm not joking. That's how inconsistent and crazy it is with grading. So don't always believe the 9 as a grade. Just look at it. You have eyes. Look at it. Look at the things I was talking about, the centering. Look at things like this on the back where, you know, it might just be the graphics. Maybe an inexperienced grader saw that and thought it was a white spot. Obviously, if a card's way off center, don't do this with it. Look for cards that have good centering, no white corners, and try it. It'll be a fun little thing to do. I'll do this sometime. I'll save all these, or I'll get a bunch of PSA 9 Otanis that look good, crack them out, send them in, and we'll see how many 10s we get. It'll be a fun test. Anyway, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos later.
I can't touch and I cannot lie. You are the brothers I can't deny.